The media needs to do a better job. Just a half-ass job is what they need to do. The media works so hard. They work overtime trying to pepper their coverage in a manner that they feel seems both sides, seems fair to both sides. When it's not fair when you set up a different standard for Donald Trump than you do for Joe Biden. And this clip perfectly illustrates that. Katy Tour, who's not a bad journalist, she's not a bad host. I don't think that she is, as Nancy Pelosi sideways called her, a Trump apologist. I don't think she's that. I think she's good. But it's so ingrained and programmed into them to be fair and objective that they lose sight of what actual objectivity is. I'm going to play this clip where Nancy Pelosi is really going through the merits of Joe Biden's administration and the policies that have been won and where we left, where we have come from. And you'll see this moment play out. And then at the other side of this, I want to talk about it, because if the media were truly to handle both sides objectively and call balls and strikes, they would give a better context to what's going on. And while they're blaming Joe Biden and pinning, like inflation, for instance, we'll talk about that, on Joe Biden, which is a pandemic era artifact, they're letting Donald Trump off the hook for his terrible job record, which was a pandemic era artifact. Donald Trump gets credit for the wild job numbers, even though he lost all of them due to the pandemic. But Joe Biden, I guess I'm getting into it anyway, Joe Biden gets blamed for inflation, even though it was a global phenomenon that was brought on by the pandemic directly. Here's Nancy Pelosi really giving it to Katy Tour in a very deserved manner.
There's nothing in his performance, if that's the word we'll use, what he has done, that would indicate that he cares, prioritizes, or ever valued or did anything to support a democracy. And now on the ballot saying he should have immunity from whatever he might do. I mean, really, I have sympathy and respect for everybody who votes. I'm glad people vote. I know some of them will always reject those of us who might look different to them in leadership or the rest, and that's that. But there are those who have real legitimate concerns about immigration, globalization, innovation, and what does that mean for their job and their family's future? And we have to address those concerns. And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst. I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that. But let me just say, as a Speaker of the House, we put forth a $3 trillion bill. $3 trillion of investment in communities and the rest, and that stimulates the economy.
I just want to ask one more question.
One, I don't believe Katy Tour to be a Trump apologist in any way, other than possibly the ingrained nature of working overtime to appear to be objective, to appear to be fair, and in the course of doing that, you're not fair. Because Joe Biden dealt with inflation better than any of his peers who lead countries. We combated inflation in a far more effective and quick manner than anybody else. And inflation was twofold, in my view. It was obviously brought on a little bit by some of the supply chain issues and the pandemic, but it was also price gouging on the parts of corporations, which the government didn't handle quick enough and still is not handling quick enough. But to pin inflation, because the media has been banging on about that for how long, on Joe Biden, what's he doing about it? What's he doing about it? This is a Biden problem. Bidenflation, all of that. And then to give Donald Trump only credit for jobs and not pin pandemic era issues related to his jobs losses on him. That's not fairness. That's not objectivity. That's not providing invaluable context to viewers. So is she actively, consciously being a Trump apologist? I don't think so. But it's the manner with which they do their jobs. This is why what we do in this space, we meaning the people in my genre on YouTube and independent media, people who do podcasts, people who are here, it's why what we do is so important, because we can cut through the BS and the noise and give it to you like it is, give you the important context. Because the mainstream media, if you're just waiting for them to catch on and do it, you're going to be waiting a long time. They fail time after time after time, sometimes actively, with malice, I believe, consciously, and other times in cases like this, where it's just fighting so hard to appear even-handed that you are not. Anyway, what do you think about this? I'd love to know. You can leave a comment below. We can disagree agreeably in the comments, as I always say. You can also call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I can't wait to hear from you on this. If you want to help support my work, if you appreciate what I do, only if I bring you value, please consider supporting this work for $2 a month. You can click the join button below this video, see what's involved to become a channel member here on YouTube. $2 a month. You can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, and there you can support this work here on YouTube at that link, not just the podcast, for $2 a month. Patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I love and appreciate you guys very much. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere, and I'll see you next time.